Hi, everybody. I'm Kristel David, your host for the Keep the Spark Alive Summit. And I'm so excited to be here today with Holly Doherty. And we're just going to jump right in and just get to know the powerhouse women behind the powerhouse women. That's what this summit is all about, is just, as women, I think we're constantly looking at other women like she's got it going on and she's got everything in place. And then, the reality is behind closed doors, we're all kind of just trying to make it work and do the best that we can. So I think it's awesome to get behind the scenes of that. So Holly, will you just tell us a little bit about what are the roles and the hats that you wear as a woman?
Absolutely, happy to. Well, like all of us, I think I wear a lot of different hats. I am a wife. I've been married for 13 years. I have two little kids. They're 4 and 9. I homeschool them, so I'm a teacher, homeschooling as well. I own a business called Rediscover Radiance. It's a coaching business, so I have all those responsibilities. Helping take care of my aging mom, looking for kind of a community for her right now and dealing with those changes in her life. So those are just a few of the roles. And then there are, of course, my hobbies and things like that, and service in the community and my church that I do also.
Yeah. So I know we were connected and drawn to working together on this summit because we have a very similar mission. Tell us a little bit more about your coaching business and what is your mission for women?
Absolutely. So what I've seen so often in life is that women are kind of they can have a tendency to lose themselves to all those roles that they play, wife and mother, job, business, all of those things, and they forget who they really are. And we're in this world that constantly tells us we're not enough, we don't do enough, we're not smart enough, we're not beautiful enough, and we can really take those messages to heart and it can make us feel really crappy about ourselves, to be totally blunt, totally honest. And women tend to we can lose ourselves, forget who we are, lose our identity in a sense. Whether it's chronic caretaking or just being the proverbial soccer mom and putting everything you have into your kids, traumatic experiences. That's my personal history where I come from and where my work throughout that is really reclaiming my personal identity after trauma, and that's what a lot of my clients deal with too, because all of those things can really redefine who we are and give us kind of a false identity so that we don't, I don't know, we wake up one day and we look ourselves in the mirror and we say, who the heck am I? And what happened to the confident person that I used to be? Where did that person go? And that's what I do in my coaching business, is I help women really come back to fall in love with themselves again, to realize and rediscover their radiant self and learn to put themselves as a priority in their lives. Because so often, we can put ourselves so far in, the backseat, we're barely in the car anymore because we put our needs behind everybody else's. Yeah. And so those are the things that I help women to reconnect with.
And I think we live in a time that with like social media and constantly being in front of other people that we're not even in front of, I think that has like such a bigger toll on the already hard to be a woman likeness that it already is, and so I love
Absolutely.
I love that you say that. So I want to just ask to kind of dig in a little bit deeper to that. One of the biggest in the community that I'm in and in the work that I'm doing with women, one of the biggest challenges that people are having as women is how to, and they'll use the word balance, but I always say balance because I don't know that there ever is such thing as balance, but it's like what we're always striving for. And like I said, I think we're always looking at like, how do they do it? And how are they doing all this stuff? And so how would you speak into how to balance, managing all those roles we're taking on as women, and how to like just feel like you're able to just not, I don't know if content is the word because I don't like being comfortable, but just feel like you're on top of it and that you don't need to feel like you're just losing it.
Well, I'll give you a kind of confession. I feel like I'm losing it at least once a week. I think that's okay. I think honestly that's part of the secret sauce, is to be able to give yourself permission to fail, permission to fall on your face, permission to say, hey, I really blew it, but I'm going to pick up the pieces and I'm going to move on. Because you're not defined by your accomplishments or how well you do everything. And just giving yourself that permission is really, really freeing. But I agree with you. I don't really think there is such a thing as balance, so to speak, either. I look at it kind of like, spinning plates. Not that you're all frantic, but you go and you give your full attention to this one plate and you spin it, you get it going, and then, okay, you come over here and you got it and you got it over here. And you know that in the background, you've got kids and work commitments and other commitments in life that are going. And hopefully they can be on autopilot a little bit. Like I train my children to be as self-sufficient as possible. My 4-year-old make coffee for me, which is awesome. They can make their own bagels, they can make their own breakfast, and kind of get themselves going. And that's been a real lifesaver for me, to help them, empower them to be able to do that, so that I can take the time that I need for other things. And then I give them their special attention and their special time also.
I love the word empower, and I want to just speak in a little bit more to what you just said, because I was sharing this before, and I've been sharing it a lot lately, because it's kind of where my identity has come into creating Wife Complex. Is I've always had this complex in myself of I'm a bad mom because I let my kids do things like make breakfast. 10-year-old can get up and make everybody breakfast, and then when I see moms that are like, oh, I have to do everything for them, and I did and I'm like, oh gosh, am I a bad mom? So I love that you're using the positive word empower, and I appreciate that, because it gives me that permission, and I think it's great to pour into that. So I would like to hear a little bit more about how you feel about that in giving your kids that empowerment and that freedom, versus feeling like being a good mom means you're doing everything for them, because actually that could actually not necessarily be the best thing. So how would you kind of speak to that a little further?
Exactly. I would say just what you said. That's not the best thing for them, to do everything for them. I've heard it said we're not raising children, we're raising adults. And we don't want them to be children forever. And even though it breaks your heart when you see them all growing up and they're not our little babies anymore, but you know that that's inevitable. It has to take place. You want it to take place, right? You don't want your 40-year-old living in your basement. Let's just be honest. We want them to be able to grow up, be self-sufficient, have great jobs or businesses of their own, be independent. And so there's nothing wrong with starting and training them from an early age. We had a front loader washing machine, so my kids have done their laundry since the time they were about 2. I would help them with it, but they would go and they would do what they could, and then over time, they've just taken that role on. So you're really just empowering them. That's really what's best for them in the long run. Not that you treat them like adults right now. They're obviously little kids, and you need to nurture their little hearts, but you don't need to do everything for them, because that'll drive you crazy, burn you out, and it doesn't teach them how to be self-sufficient in the long run.
Right. Yeah, I love that, and I appreciate you, like I said, just taking that stand. So I want to hear a little bit about you, Holly. How do you maintain a sense of self, just you, amidst being a wife and a mom and a businesswoman and constantly giving so much of yourself?
Excuse me, I have very strong self-care practices that I've developed over the years, and it was hard to get to this point because you feel all that mom guilt. I have to be with my kids all the time, I have to do this, I have to do that, put all their needs first and mine on the back burner, but that doesn't help anybody, and it burns you out. So over the years, I really cultivated some self-care practices. Like I go to lunch or dinner once a month with some girlfriends, and my daughter always says, Mom, why do you have to go? Why can't you stay with me? And I tell her, you know what? It makes me a better mom.
Yeah.
It makes me a better mom when I can go and be with my friends and be a woman and be who I am. I have hobbies. Then I just started ballroom dancing again. And that is a huge self-care for me. I sing, I do the things that fill my soul. And I make sure that I put those into my schedule. I make those a priority. And when my soul is full and overflowing, I can give to other people. Because you can't give out of an empty cup. You just can't. And so those are some of the things that I do. My baths and showers, I'm like, that's my time. Kids out of my room, close the door, don't bother me. That's my time. I have a great supporting husband who it really helps me with the kids and gives me some of that time alone. But if I didn't, I'd have to ask my mom or a babysitter or something, because those things are so important to my well-being and ultimately my family's well-being.
Yeah. So I love that. And speaking of your husband, so how do you guys keep the spark alive in your marriage?
For us right now, it's been ballroom dancing, because we both have businesses and he can work 60, 70 hours a week. I can be super busy, and it's hard for us to take that time and connect. And it can be all business. You know, when you're both so busy and you only have a few minutes a day, it's like, okay, well, the kids need this and we need to go grocery shopping, this. And it was killing us. Like, there was no spark. There wasn't. And for his birthday, actually, it was his idea. He said, I want to start ballroom dancing again. I want some lessons. And that was huge, because now we see each other, we take the time again. It's making a priority for things that fill your soul. And for both of us, that fills our soul together. We were laughing the other day. We're like, oh my gosh, we haven't laughed like this in like a year. You know, so that's been really good for us. So finding those common interests and just making them a priority.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love, my husband and I did ballroom dancing classes for our wedding planner. This is like her thing. She's like, I always encourage my bride and groom to take dancing lessons, so that dance is like, actually, you know, like some dance like technique versus just standing there rocking back and forth. So
Right.
I remember that, and it was actually really fun, like the time that we had, because you know, we had our classes and we were going and seeing each other, like how quickly each of us learned, or the lack thereof. And, so yeah, that was cool. So you're kind of bringing me back to that. So
that's awesome. And you know, dancing in particular is really good for your marriage, because there's two people. They both have a really important role. They're not necessarily the same role, right? But they're both equally important. And if you have one without the other, it falls apart.
Right.
And if you have a leader without a follower, if you have someone who, you know, if you're both just trying to compete for the same job at the same time, and you don't communicate, and you're just all out for yourself, it's a disaster. So you really have to learn to work together, to compromise, and to be partners in life as well as on the
That's such a good, I love that analogy. I'm challenging everyone, go do a ballroom dancing
class. Go do it. It's awesome.
Just to do something new. I'm thinking like, me and my husband need to go do that. So I would like to hear just how do you define sexy? Because I think it's a word that I kept purposely, because you know, some people go straight to like being half naked in lingerie, and some people go straight to certain body parts, and then some people it's all a mindset and a feeling. So but I do know that one common thing I've seen within women, especially moms and wives, is we lose that. We kind of don't feel sexy anymore. And again, going back to our times with social media, it's like you're this person who your body's changed because of children, and you know, you all this stuff, and you're looking out to just all this sexiness. But I am convinced to really hear, and so far I've asked this question to so many of our speakers, and not one person has said it's boobs or it's makeup or so I would like to hear, what is your and even if it is boobs, like I love boobs, I kind of want the boobs. So it can be anything. You know, it's your answer, but I just would love to hear what does that mean for you? What does that mean?
Sure. Well, I love that you mentioned social media, because social media, any of the advertising magazines that you see, it's all fake. It's all fake. And that's what you have to remember. Like, even those supermodels don't really look like that, because they're all airbrushed. And so when we look at social media, when we look at advertisers to define sexy for us, we're always going to come up on the short end. Always. And so for me, sexy isn't boobs and showing cleavage and all that. Sexy is an attitude. And sexy is confidence. Like, confidence is sexy. And when you're confident and you know 100% who you are and what you stand for, and that the kids may have like had a horrible day at school, they may have failed a test, you may have lost a client at work, you may have just failed miserably in life, but you are worthy because of who you are and who you were made to be, and you know who that person is, and you can stand in that person confidently. To me, that's sexy. You know, that is confidence, to say, this is who I am, I own myself, I accept myself. My cellulite, my saggy boobs, my baby belly, all of that stuff. I accept myself. because I know who I am. And I don't have to look like some airbrushed supermodel in a magazine, because nobody looks like that anyway. You know, I am me. This is 100% who I am. This is my body. This is how it looks. And I'm okay with that. And I think when you're okay with who you are, I think that's sexy.
Yeah, no, oh, I love that. And if I can just speak like a glimpse of personal experience, just because, you know, one of the reasons why I started my business and my lifestyle brand was because I have 4 kids, and people are constantly saying like, oh my gosh, how do you look like that after kids? And I started hearing that. I'll never forget, I was getting introduced to speak on a stage, and when they introduced me as she's a mom of 4 kids, a guy was like, wait, what? Like, you looking good. And I'm thinking like, what does that mean? Like, because I have 4 kids, you're surprised that I look good. And so it was like my mission. It was like I wanted to take the fact that I do get complimented on my looks, but like to expose the reality that I'm sitting here looking at social media feeling like I'm not sexy and feeling like I'm less than and I'm this and I'm that, just as much as someone who may be looking at me thinking, oh, I wish I looked like that after 4 kids. And so I'll never forget, there was this period of my life where I just kind of fell into this sense of like, I just hated how I looked and how I felt, and it resulted in my husband not thinking I was the sexiest thing, because it was like my mindset wasn't there, and my confidence wasn't there, and it was just like, it was almost like annoying to him that I was so like, oh, I'm this and I need that and I blah blah blah. And so I can speak to that from experience, that, you know, like, we cannot compare ourselves, and it's a mindset. You got to find what it is that makes you feel confident. So I appreciate you sharing, because I speak to that from firsthand experience. I had to realize, like, and now it's something I go back to. Like, if I start to feel that I'm like lowering my self-worth, I'm like, no, that's where I'm gonna not be sexy for my husband. I could work out, get my boobs done, I could have the best hair, best skin, best everything, but if I don't keep my confidence to par, that's when everything I think. So I love that. I think it's so amazing. So you know, as far you, go ahead.
And you touched on a very important point.
Yeah.
You touched on a very important point about your husband. We can't rely on our husbands or anybody else to help us feel confident and sexy. That's our job. That's got to come from within ourselves. And if we're looking and relying on somebody else to do that for us, it's not going to work. It's always going to fail, because we have to believe it. My husband would tell me for years, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so this, you're so that. And honestly, I didn't believe it. So he could tell me all he wanted to. But until I did that internal work and accepted me for who I am, I couldn't accept anything that he did. You know, all his cheerleading efforts, they didn't work, because it has to come from inside.
Yeah, no, that's huge. And I think that that's a great point you're pointing out, because how many times of us as women, you know, a big part of what I want this summit to do for women is to heal relationships. You know, that's a big part. And how much of that healing that's needed is just right within, you know, like, it has nothing to do with your significant other or him not being good enough or doing the right thing. So I love that, you know, and I love the quote that I've heard, you know, in the last couple years or so, that, you know, when you change, that's when other people do, or in other things. And so it all comes back to what's within. So I think that's a great point, of doing that inner work. So do you feel like, did you say you were married for 13 years?
Yes.
Yes, awesome. So that's amazing. What do you feel like you would give as like the secret sauce to keeping the spark alive? I know we already talked about the ballroom dancing, but just through like communication wise, of just like keeping it going and keeping just the communication between, like, okay, I'm a mom, I'm taking care of my mom, I'm a businesswoman, I'm a friend, I'm all these things. So how do you and your husband kind of coexist in that?
That's a great question. I think one of the things that we do that's so important is making sure we take time to kind of check in with each other. Hey, how are you doing? You know, what do you need? How can I help you today? You know, we pick up each other's slack a lot, and we offer a lot of forgiveness, because we blow it with each other a lot. And, you know, if there wasn't that forgiveness, there would just be bitterness built up. And so for us, that's really a key to keeping the spark alive is communication, getting our own needs met, you know, internally, trying to meet each other's needs, and offering tons and tons of forgiveness and grace. Yeah. But again, if you don't do the internal work on yourself, you can't keep that spark alive, because you're gonna try to suck it from other people, and you know, it will suck your relationship dry. So you have to, I say, you have to get your own needs met, and you have to take care of yourself and really know what it is that you need, and speak up for that, and not be afraid to speak up for that and say, hey, I need a night out with the girls. You know, I'm going stir crazy here. I need some me time, and that's okay. And then you give it to him when he needs it. You know, you let him go out and hang with the guys and all that stuff, because you need those relationships. It can't be just a relationship and a back.
Yeah, that's good. That was one.
So I think that was a lot of things.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think that's amazing advice. So what would, you know, this is a mixed audience, and some people are not married, they're not in a relationship. So what do you feel like is the biggest myth, I guess, or lie or misconception of being married and being a mom, and you know, taking on all these roles? So like kind of taking yourself back to before all that happened, like what would you dispel to kind of give a glimpse of hope and inspiration for people to not fear that they have to stop who they are to step into those places?
I think one of the biggest myths, one of the biggest challenges that women face is that their relationship will become their everything. You know, we think it'll fix us, right? We think a husband will fix us, or we think kids will fix everything and make everything better. Really, they complicate things too. They make life awesome, but they also complicate things. And just to realize that they're not your everything. You were you before you were a wife, a mom, any other role that you had in your life. You were you. And you need to keep sight of that always, because nobody's going to fix you, and nobody's going to make everything perfect unless, you know, you're willing to do the work yourself.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, well said. And that just so much of what you're saying is just, I'm loving it. I hope people continue to connect, you know, with you, and continue to connect with themselves, because I'm just loving how much you're speaking into the self, because that's where it all boils down. Like, we can't be a wife and a mom and a businesswoman at our best if we're not, you know, in tune with self and taking care of ourselves. So I just think that's awesome advice. What is something that I want to kind of, as we're starting to wrap it up, I want to just like see what in you, because first of all, it's like I swear we speak the same language, so I'm just loving what you're saying and what you're giving us. So is there any other like last thoughts that you would want to leave us with, as far as just keeping that self alive and just maintaining a healthy self and healthy relationship, so that you can be the best woman and not lose yourself?
Sure. I would say, you know, we all have garbage in our lives. We all have a past. We all have things that have defined us and made us feel less than worthy. And my biggest piece of advice is that you have to deal with those things. You know, there's this attitude out there, and I've heard it from a lot of coaches, I've heard it from a lot of speakers, that, you know, draw a line in the sand, say it's not going to affect me anymore, and just move on. But you know what? 90% of the time, in the women that I help, that doesn't work. Because when you fight something, it just boils back, because it's begging to be dealt with. And so don't be afraid when you have support and help. You know, you don't have to do this alone, but you can get through it, and you can make peace with your past. And I think that's where I see so many women getting stuck, is their past coming back to haunt them, making them feel not sexy, making them feel unworthy, making them feel less than. And that dims your light that's inside of you, that needs to come and radiate out, so that you can give to others, so you can have that, if you want to call it balance, You know, you can maintain those healthy relationships. You've got to deal with that stuff. So that would be my biggest piece of advice is don't be afraid to get some help and support, go into those dark places, find out and identify what's making you feel less than worthy, what's making you feel crappy about yourself and beat yourself up all the time. You don't stay in that space, but you have to recognize it and you have to identify it and name it so you can then deal with it and make peace with it. And a lot of times you'll find that those things in your past, those same things that make you feel less than worthy, when you look at it and you reframe it and you can finally see how it's made you stronger, better, more resilient, and you can find the strengths that have come from those experiences. So don't be afraid to deal with them because they're begging to be dealt with.
And would you agree that in order to deal with those things, you almost can't do it in isolation? Like you need that outside support person?
I think so, because there's a lot of garbage pop psychology out there that doesn't work. There's a lot of advice that is bad, but most of the time you just need support. You need someone to witness your experience, someone who's been there and been through it and is on the other side and say, it's going to be okay, right? And just someone to bear witness to your life. It's so overwhelming, or it can be so overwhelming to try and do this by yourself. But you don't have to. I think support is essential.
No, I agree. I think that's great advice. So thank you, Holly, so much just for spending this short bit of time with us. I know these interviews are short and sweet, but it's really just to give everyone a little taste of who you are, this amazing woman, just giving yourself to the world so that we can all be better in the world together. And so tell us where we can connect with you. And I know you have a free gift for the listeners, which I'm so excited for you to share with us. So tell us a little bit more of how to connect with you off this interview.
Absolutely. Well, you can find me at rediscoverradiance.com. And if you go to rediscoverradiance.com/key, you'll get my free gift. And it is the #1 tool and the top secret to rediscovering who you are, to putting your needs first. I say to get back in the driver's seat and take control of your life. It's the #1 tool that I used to start rediscovering my own identity, to start putting my own needs first instead of just pouring myself out and losing myself to every expectation of every other person in my life. So it's very, very powerful. It's one simple tool that you need. If you implement this and it becomes a habit in your life, it will change your life. I have people come back to me literally 3 years later and say, oh my gosh, this tool changed my life and I still do it every single day. So I would love for you to pick it up. It's called the Self-Worth Key, and it can be found at rediscoverradiance.com/key.
Awesome. And all the links will be in the email as well. So thank you so much. I'm going to check it out. I'm so excited to just continue to connect with you. I appreciate your time today. And
oh, it was such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. So bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Connect.